The San Francisco Bay was covered in a thick blanket of fog, the kind that swallowed sound and made the Golden Gate Bridge look like a ghostly shadow. Detective Marcus Hale stood near the shoreline, his coat collar pulled high against the damp wind. He hated fog. It made everything uncertain, everything blurred, but tonight the fog carried more than mist. It carried death. The body had been found at dawn by a jogger, half hidden near the rocky edge of Crissy Field. Male, early 40s, expensive suit soaked with seawater. At first glance it looked like a drowning, but Marcus knew better the moment he saw the wound. A small, neat hole at the back of the skull, execution style. Victim ID, Marcus asked, his gravelly voice low. The crime scene tech pulled out a wallet in a plastic bag. Name's Peter Lawson, VP at Nova Tech Industries. Marcus exhaled slowly. Nova Tech, one of the most powerful tech corporations in Silicon Valley. Their CEO, Ethan Cross, was practically untouchable. Wealth, politics, influence. If Lawson worked for him, this was no ordinary murder. But there was something stranger still. The killer had left behind a clue. In the victim's jacket pocket was a small black USB drive, sealed in plastic. No note, no signature, just the drive. Marcus held it up, frowning. Why leave this? Back at the precinct, they plugged it into a secure system. The files were heavily encrypted, but one folder opened. Inside was a short video clip, shaky, handheld footage of a dark room where men in suits exchanged envelopes of cash. The camera caught one face clearly, Councilman Richard Green, a rising political star. Jesus, muttered Marcus's partner, Detective Alvarez, that's corruption on tape. What the hell does this have to do with Lawson's murder? Marcus didn't answer. His mind was racing. A body from Nova Tech. A USB pointing to political bribery. This wasn't random. This was deliberate. Someone was sending a message. That night, Marcus went home to his small apartment overlooking the bay. He poured himself a drink, staring at the USB on his desk. The city lights shimmered through the fog, distorted as though San Francisco itself was hiding secrets. His phone buzzed. A number he didn't recognize. Detective Hale. A woman's voice whispered, "My name is Clara Bennett. I'm a journalist. I think I know why Lawson was killed." Marcus stiffened. "How did you get my number?" "That USB drive you found," Clara said quickly. "It's part of a bigger story. I've been following it for months. But listen carefully. I can't talk long. They're watching me." "Who's watching you?" Marcus demanded. The line went silent for a moment, then, "The same people who killed Lawson. And if you're not careful, they'll come for you too." The call cut out. Marcus sat in silence, the city's fog pressing against his window. Somewhere out, there was a journalist who knew too much. Somewhere out, there was a killer leaving breadcrumbs in the form of USB drives. And somewhere, hidden in the fog, powerful men were willing to kill to keep their secrets buried. Marcus took a long drink, set the glass down, and whispered to himself, "Tomorrow the hunt begins." Detective Marcus Hale didn't sleep much after the call. Clara Bennett's voice kept echoing in his head, "They're watching me." He had heard fear before, but in her tone there was something else, certainty. Whoever was behind Lawson's death wasn't just dangerous, they were powerful enough to track a reporter across the city. By morning, Marcus was at his desk, a black coffee in hand, staring at Lawson's case file. His partner, Detective Alvarez, leaned against the desk. "You look like hell," Alvarez said. "Didn't sleep." Marcus muttered, "That journalist, Clara Bennett, she called me, says she knows why Lawson was killed." Alvarez frowned. "Clara Bennett, I've heard the name. Doesn't she write for the Bay Chronicle?" Marcus nodded. "Yeah, investigative. She's been poking around Nova Tech for months. And now she's gone off the grid." "Exactly." They ran a quick trace. Clara's last known location was her small office near Market Street, but when Marcus drove there, the door was ajar. The office had been ransacked. Papers scattered, computers smashed, filing cabinets overturned. Whoever had been there wasn't just searching, they were silencing. On the floor, Marcus noticed a single envelope taped beneath Clara's desk. Inside was a flash drive labeled in her handwriting for Hale. If I disappear. Marcus pocketed it, his jaw tight. Back at the precinct, he opened the drive carefully. The files inside weren't just notes, they were damning. Emails, bank records, secret communications between Ethan Cross, the billionaire CEO of Nova Tech, and multiple city officials, including Councilman Richard Green. The documents painted a picture of a deep corruption ring, money laundering, bribes, contracts rigged to benefit Nova Tech's expansion in San Francisco. At the bottom of the file list was an audio recording. Marcus pressed play. Clara's voice filled the room. "This is Clara Bennett. If you're hearing this, I may already be gone. The man killed on Crissy Field, Peter Lawson. He was about to testify against Nova Tech. He contacted me first, said he had proof Ethan Cross was running more than just a tech empire. He was running a shadow network. Politicians. Cops, judges, all on his payroll. I think Lawson's murder was a warning, and I think I'm next." The recording ended. Alvarez swore under his breath. "Jesus, Marcus, if this is true, it is true." Marcus cut in. "And now she's either hiding or dead." Before they could say more, Captain Torres stormed into the room. He looked tense, his face red. "What the hell are you two working on? I told you the Lawson case is closed." "Suicide, suicide," Marcus barked. He had a bullet hole in the back of his head. "Execution style. You call that suicide?" Torres glared. "That's the official report. Drop it, Hale. That's an order." The room went silent. Marcus's fists clenched. It wasn't just the criminals. It was inside the department too. Nova Tech's reach was everywhere. When Torres left, Alvarez leaned in close. "You realize what this means, right? We're alone in this. If you keep digging, they'll come after you too." Marcus shoved the flash drive into his coat pocket. "Then let them. I'm not letting this city rot while men like Cross pull the strings." That night, Marcus followed a lead from Clara's files. A note mentioned a secret meeting at Pier 39, midnight. Clara had written, "Source claims Cross uses the docks for off. A record exchanges." Marcus arrived early, parking a few blocks away. The pier was quiet, fog rolling in off the bay, muffling footsteps. He moved carefully, his gun holstered but ready. Through the mist, he spotted two figures near a warehouse. One was tall, broad-shouldered, wearing a tailored coat, Ethan Cross himself. The other was Councilman Green. They were speaking in low voices, but Marcus caught fragments. Lawson panicked. "USB left behind. Find the journalist before she leaks more." Marcus's blood ran cold. They were hunting Clara. Suddenly a hand clamped on his shoulder. He spun, gun raised, but froze when he saw her. Clara Bennett, her face pale, hair pulled back under a hood, eyes wide but determined. "Don't shoot," she whispered. "I followed you. I knew you'd come here." Marcus hissed, "You're supposed to be hiding." "There's no hiding from Cross." She whispered back, "But I have more files, everything we need to take him down." Before Marcus could respond, headlights swept across the pier. Black SUV rolled up silently, doors opening, men in dark suits stepping out. Cross and Green turned, nodding as armed guards spread out. Marcus grabbed Clara's arm. "We need to go, now." But it was too late. The fog was closing in, and so were the men with guns. The fog at Pier 39 thickened until the sub's headlights looked like blurred orbs floating in the mist. Marcus Hale tightened his grip on Clara's arm and pulled her toward a stack of cargo crates. The sound of boots striking wet concrete echoed through the pier. "Find them." Ethan Cross's voice cut sharply through the night, calm, confident, like a man who knew he owned the city. Marcus crouched behind the crates, Clara trembling beside him. He leaned close and whispered, "Stay quiet. Don't move until I say." Clara nodded, clutching her satchel to her chest. Inside were the files she had risked her life to gather. Two armed men passed nearby, their flashlights slicing through the fog. Marcus waited until they turned a corner, then motioned for Clara to follow. They crept along the shadows, the bay water lapping gently against the pier, but their luck broke fast. A beam of light caught Clara's hood. There, one of the guards shouted. Marcus shoved her down just as bullets ripped through the crates, splintering wood inches from their heads. He returned fire, his Glock barking in the night. One guard dropped, the other shouted for backup. Within seconds, the pier erupted in chaos. Shouts, gunfire, footsteps pounding in every direction. Marcus grabbed Clara's hand. "Run!" They darted through the fog, weaving between warehouses. Clara's breath came in sharp gasps. "They'll kill us. Not if we move fast." A bullet ricocheted off metal beside them. Marcus swore, pulling Clara into a side alley. They pressed against the wall as more SUVs screeched into the lot. Through the mist, Marcus glimpsed Ethan Cross watching calmly from a distance. His bodyguards formed a protective circle around him, but Cross didn't look worried. Instead, he spoke into his phone almost casually, like this was business as usual. Marcus's gut tightened. Cross wasn't afraid of exposure. He was confident no one could touch him. "Detective." Clara whispered urgently. "They have half the city in their pocket. Politicians, cops, judges. If they catch us, we're dead." Marcus looked at her, then back at the chaos. "Then we make sure they don't catch us." They sprinted through the fog until they reached Marcus's unmarked car. He shoved Clara inside and hit the gas, tires squealing as bullets pinged off the trunk. The car roared down Embarcadero, fog swallowing their escape. Back at Marcus's apartment, Clara paced restlessly, her satchel open on the table. Inside were folders, USB drives, and notes scribbled in her hurried handwriting. "This is everything I have," she said. "Lawson gave me files before he was killed. He said they'd prove Cross was running a criminal empire. Nova Tech isn't just a tech company. They're laundering money, smuggling, blackmailing officials. Lawson was going to testify, but they silenced him." Marcus sifted through the papers. Offshore accounts, fake contracts, secret payments to Green and other city leaders. Enough to blow open half of San Francisco's power structure. But evidence wasn't enough. In a city where judges could be bought and captains silenced, Marcus knew proof didn't guarantee justice. "They'll bury this," Marcus said quietly. "Even if we go public, Cross will spin it, call it fake. He's too powerful." Clara leaned across the table, her voice urgent. "Then we need to hit him where he's weakest, not just expose him. Corner him, make it impossible for him to bury the truth." Marcus studied her. She wasn't just a frightened journalist anymore. She was angry, determined. Before he could respond, a sudden crash shattered his apartment window. A smoke grenade clattered across the floor, spewing thick gray gas. "Down!" Marcus shouted, dragging Clara behind the couch. He fired blindly toward the broken window as figures in tactical gear stormed in. Clara coughed violently. "They found us." "No," Marcus growled, his instincts kicking in. "They tracked you." Bullets tore through the apartment. Marcus grabbed Clara's satchel and pulled her toward the back door. They barreled down the fire escape as more gunmen swarmed the building. On the street below, a black van screeched around the corner, its doors sliding open. Marcus barely had time to aim before men in masks jumped out. Clara screamed as one grabbed her, shoving her into the van. Marcus fired, hitting one of the attackers, but the van peeled away, tires screeching, fog swallowing it whole. Marcus sprinted after it, lungs burning, but it vanished into the night. He stood in the middle of the empty street, chest heaving, rage boiling in his veins. Clara Bennett, his only lead, the only person who could blow this case open, was gone. And Ethan Cross had her. Hours later, Marcus stood alone in his wrecked apartment, the satchel gone, his phone buzzing non-stop with official orders to stand down. He ignored them all. He poured himself a whiskey, staring at the fog outside. Clara was alive, for now. Cross needed her files. That gave Marcus time, but he knew the rules had changed. This wasn't just an investigation anymore. It was war. He whispered to himself, voice low, dangerous. "You took her, Cross. Now I'm coming for you." The city was still wrapped in fog when Detective Marcus Hale left his apartment. His badge lay on the kitchen table. He wasn't carrying it anymore. This wasn't official business. This was personal. Clara Bennett was out there, somewhere, in the hands of Ethan Cross. And Marcus knew she didn't have much time. He drove without lights through the quiet streets until he reached the waterfront. Clara's files had mentioned a private facility Nova Tech maintained just outside the city, disguised as a shipping warehouse. If Cross was keeping her anywhere, it would be there. As Marcus approached the warehouse, he killed the engine and checked his gun, one clip, not nearly enough for the army of men Cross could throw at him. But that didn't matter. He wasn't leaving without Clara. Inside the warehouse, Clara sat tied to a chair beneath a single swinging bulb. Her face was bruised, lips split, but her eyes were still defiant. Ethan Cross stood across from her, immaculate in his tailored suit. He poured himself a glass of red wine as if hosting a dinner party. "You've been very busy, Miss Bennett," he said smoothly, digging into places you had no right to look. "You should have stayed a journalist, not a crusader." Clara spat blood onto the floor. "People deserve to know who you really are. You can't hide forever." Cross smiled faintly. "On the contrary, I own forever." He raised his glass, sipping casually, as if her fate was already sealed. Marcus slipped through the shadows of the warehouse yard. Guards patrolled the perimeter, their radios crackling. He waited, patient, then struck. Silent takedowns, one by one, dragging bodies into the fog. Finally, he slipped inside. The dim warehouse smelled of oil and metal. Voices echoed from the far end. Cross's men, laughing, confident. Marcus followed the sound until he reached a doorway. Through the crack, he saw Clara, tied, and Cross standing smugly before her. Marcus's blood boiled. He burst in, gun raised. "Step away from her, Cross." The room exploded with movement. Guards reaching for weapons, Cross calmly setting down his glass. "Detective Hale," he said smoothly. "I wondered how long it would take you." Marcus shot first, dropping 2 guards before they cleared their holsters. Clara ducked as bullets shredded the air. Marcus dove behind a steel beam, firing in short bursts. The warehouse thundered with gunfire. Cross moved calmly behind his men, watching with cold amusement. "Kill him," he ordered. Marcus knew he couldn't outgun them all. He fired until his clip ran dry, then rolled to cover, grabbing a fallen guard's rifle. He popped back up, spraying fire, cutting down the last of the attackers. Silence fell, broken only by Clara's ragged breathing. Cross clapped slowly, his face unreadable. "Impressive. You've killed half my security detail. Do you think that changes anything? I have judges, mayors, senators in my pocket. You're just one man." Marcus leveled the rifle at him. "Yeah, but one man with nothing left to lose." Cross smirked. "You won't shoot me. You want justice. You want a courtroom, a headline, but men like me don't go to prison." Marcus hesitated, finger tightening on the trigger. He wanted to end it here, but Clara's voice cut through the haze. "Marcus, don't. That's what he wants. If you kill him, you're just another headline. We need to expose him." Marcus's jaw clenched. She was right. Proof mattered more than vengeance. Cross chuckled. "Expose me? To who? The press, the police. They all belong to me." Clara's eyes narrowed. "Not everyone." She kicked over her satchel, spilling its contents across the floor. Among the files and USB drives was a small device, a live transmitter. Its red light blinked steadily. Cross froze. "You son of a," he hissed. Clara smiled weakly. "The moment you started talking, every word went out live, to the Bay Chronicle, to rival stations, to independent networks. Half the city just heard you admit everything." Cross's face drained of color. For the first time, he looked rattled. Marcus advanced, rifle steady. "It's over, Cross." Suddenly, the sound of sirens wailed outside. Not Cross's men this time. Real police, state troopers, even federal agents. The broadcast had forced their hand. They couldn't bury it now. The warehouse doors burst open, floodlights pouring in. Officers stormed the room, weapons raised. Cross straightened his suit, regaining a shred of composure. "You think this changes anything? I'll walk free. Men like me always do." Marcus lowered his rifle, staring him dead in the eye. "Not this time." Agents shoved Cross to the ground, cuffing him as he spat curses. Clara exhaled shakily, tears in her eyes as Marcus untied her. "It's over," he whispered. She nodded, clutching his arm. "For now, but men like him. There will always be another." Marcus looked out at the fog beyond the floodlights. She was right, but tonight, at least, the city had one less shadow to fear. Epilogue: 1 week later, the headlines rocked San Francisco. Tech mogul Ethan Cross arrested in massive corruption scandal. City officials resigned in disgrace. Councilman Green vanished, rumored to have fled overseas. Clara's articles went national, her name praised as the journalist who brought down a giant. Marcus returned quietly to his precinct, where Captain Torres avoided his eyes. Corruption still lingered, but the tide had shifted. On a foggy morning, Marcus stood at Crissy Field, staring at the spot where Lawson's body had been found. He lit a cigarette, the smoke curling into the mist. Justice was imperfect, fragile, but tonight he felt something rare in his line of work, hope. Behind him, Clara's voice called out, "You think it's really over?" Marcus smirked faintly. "In this city, never, but it's a start." They stood together, watching the fog roll in over the bay, knowing the shadows would return, but ready to face them when they did. Thanks for watching.